Okay, the session is started.
So, Oman, can you go?
We do. I don't see it. I don't see anyone around. Is it there?
Yeah, we are on the stage now. We are
Amod,
Yeah,
started.
we are on the stage, but okay.
it's live. Yes.
It's live.
Mhm. Good evening, everyone. My screen is visible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Now, yes.
Yes. Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. My sincere apologies for the late start. We had some technical glitch because of which we could not come on stage, but we were in the on the backstage since last half an hour. So let's start and then see how we can conclude this. Good day to everyone. And today we are doing the 10th episode of season 6. My name is Rashfaq Ahmed. I'm the anchor of PMI Chapter XChange program, and I'm also the vice president of PMI Mumbai chapter. So I'm going to the next slide. A few things about the chapter exchange program. All the all the events, the nuggets are recorded and kept at the PMI Mumbai chapter website. You can visit any of our past events while this event is also getting recorded. Amod, please confirm. Um, and just to let you know, around 80% of our registration and attendees are from outside India. We have panelists from 5 different countries, speakers from 5 to 6 different countries in every event, and attendees from across the world. Today, we have registration of around 560 plus people before I started this event. In case you have any queries, anything that you want to discuss, mention, or bring forward, please write to us on PMI Chapter Exchange at pmimumbaichapter.org. A quick snippet about the upcoming conclave. We have a conclave coming up on the PMI Mumbai chapter has a conclave coming up on 21st of February. So all people who are from Mumbai chapter, if you have not yet registered, please go to the chapter website and register for the event. The early bird discounts are still going on. Before it goes away, kindly register. And this is happening on Saturday, 21st of February. On my screen, I show you the next event, which is the last event of the year, which is happening on 19th of December. We will share the link, the QR code for you to register at the end of this event. And there were a few questions by our some of our volunteers. They wanted to know what are the topics for 2026. Our team has collected topics for 2026. We are having a discussion internally with the licensed member, and in the next event, which is on 19th December, we'll share the list of the next 12 event that we are going to do in 26, and also with the panelists who are applicable. Next is the exchange effect. So we have
Okay.
today from 39th. Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to go? Okay. So
Yeah.
welcome. So welcome to PMI Chapter Exchange season 6, event 10. Today we discuss ethics and governance in project management. And today we have our friend PMI friend joining from 39 different PMI chapters from across globe, North America, Latin America, Europe, or Africa and Asia, plus many more supporting chapter from globe. We will close today's session with a register link for the next session on December 19th, 2025. So please wait to get an early access to that link. So let me introduce the chapter exchange effect. This is see how our register look like. This is exciting. From across 40 countries, and we have over 600 registration today. So next please. Okay, so please say hello to each other and continue networking while we are getting started. You can update your profile in Elements with your LinkedIn detail and connect with few fellow and attendees. Today, we are excited to announce we have more than 600 registrations from across globe, 53 countries to be precise, from Alaska to New Zealand, and all countries from continents in between. So thank you everyone for this warm response to this initiative. The meeting is being recorded. If you are comfortable in any way, you may choose to not to attend. Also, you are welcome to continue. Everyone here in the events are speaking on our individual capacity. Our view do not represent our organization view in any ways. Okay. So like last time we will spotlight you. How? Participate activity in the events. Share your quote on the topic or the events on our chapter exchange program, and we will spotlight you. And you and your quote will be published our attendee spotlight sections in your inside exchange nuggets. So gear up and share your quote on the chat window. Okay, next. So just snapshot that's our program, and the chapter program is a PMI chapter collaboration initiative. We have 38 partners, partnering chapters, and many supporting chapters in this program, representing all regions that PMIs today. And we are also discussing with other chapter whom we are also on board soon. PMI Chapter Exchange is virtually community of chapter leaders, a community that transcend across countries, continents, and culture. We like to put this way. Our vision is to energize across chapter collaborations and encourage cultural diversity. And by doing this, we are building community to share good participants within the external to program. This is why you will notice chapters from diverse background participating in this program, because we are truly believe the diverse connections lead to the innovation solutions. And the next.
We'll skip
Okay,
the
so
exchange. Yeah. Let's go to
okay,
the
so
keynote speaker.
okay, so today's keynote speaker will be the Gladstone Samuel, with over 35 years in chemical process industry and art research and development. He brings multi-discrepancy leadership across energy, ESG, innovation, and governance. He the crisis communication during the natural disasters, protecting lives and critical assets, and guide effective change management during the M&A with strong talent retention. His work in innovation and IP governance drove consistent IPR growth, while his ESG and safety initiative reduced workplace incidents by 40%. Wow. He has strengthened workplace culture and built future talent pipelines through the academic collaboration. He offers board strategy clarity and operation insights and a strong governance mindset, especially for the organization advancing sustainability and digital transformations. So let's welcome Gladstone Samuel. Let's welcome you to the stage. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Tom, for the introduction and setting the context. Really excited and energized to be a part of this discussion and giving me an opportunity to be the keynote speaker. So I have 10 minutes slot, so I'll have to rush through the slides but share my thoughts. But if you have any questions, we can definitely take it offline or make it as a part of the Q&A. So the topic for today's discussion is ethics and governance in project management. It's a very critical and vital in today's context. And primarily, it boils down to how you build the trust and transparency in project management. So to begin with, let's try to understand why this is so critical from the project management community. If you see the slide here, I highlighted two classic case studies that that is being brought up in many forums as a part of the governance mechanism. So there are two statistics. What you see here, one is the Boeing 737 MAX crisis, and the other one is the well-known Volkswagen diesel emission scandal. These are global issues, and what has happened, if you see the statistics there, I'm not going into the details, but it's such a havoc in this organization that they have lost money, the reputation, and put people's life in risk. So there are many more case studies. I'm sure you would agree that across the globe there are multiple mishandling of funds or lack of ethics or failure in governance. And if you see the slide here, we talk about people and the leadership issues that has completely taken away the sheen of how ethics and governance are important in today's context. If you see the names here, they're pretty prominent personalities across different parts of the globe, and how they have been into a legal tangle because of a bribe, compromise on ethics or financial misappropriation or fraud. And they not only spoil the reputation of them as a personality, but also drag the company's brand name into turmoil. So it's a two-edged sword. It's not about an individual personality anymore. It also has a cascading impact on the organization and all the stakeholders involved. I strongly believe on these three pillars of foundation of corporate governance. As an independent director, I sit in the board of companies, also in advisory meetings. These three things always challenge me. One is transparency, the second one is accountability and compliance. So before I take part in any discussion, I talk to myself whether I'm clear about what I want to talk, whether I'm honest in my discussions, whether I'm accountable for whatever actions I'm going to take, and whether I'm compliant with the local laws and legislations, and whether I'm going to have any conflict of interest. So these are the guiding principles of corporate governance, and pretty much it is also relevant to the project management scenario. If you can, yeah. So I'll try to summarize what are the challenges across the globe in terms of project management, and whatever I have listed here are my personal encounters in different dimensions. For example, let's take the cultural hesitation. In India, and if you sit in a project management review meeting, a cultural problem is always there. The project managers fear or are taken aback to raise issues because they feel it is not good to raise a dissent against the senior people. So this is the same thing across the different globes, and the cultural influence is always there. So it also bothers me when I sit in review meetings. No, it is a bit of a hesitation for me whether I should raise a problem or indicate a conflict or tell this is something not going good. But over a period of time, I found it is my responsibility to raise this issue at the right point in time. Second aspect would be on the greenwashing risk. I'm sure that most of you are aware that apart from the corporate social responsibility, the environmental social governance is also kicking in. So, but there are instances where companies and organizations claim that they are ESG compliant, but they just do silently in the background and they greenwash it. So they are in conflict with whatever mission values are all about. This is something which we need to be very, very prudent in the coming days, because there are going to be strict regulations coming into force, and it is not only about the penalty that they're going to be levied, but also on the reputation of the company is not being ethical anymore. Then we talk about the data privacy expectations. If you can, yeah. So here, what happens is already there are a lot of regulations in the European Union in terms of GDPR, and in India, very recently, a Digital Protection Act has been enacted. For example, I would like to quote an incident in my earlier organization when we were working on a prototype, and one of the team members took a selfie and posted on the social media before even the product was released. So it was a big issue, and I was a part of the investigating team, and summarily the person was asked to go. Why? Because though the person did not have any ulterior motive, it actually conflicted with the IP rules of the company. So we need to be sure about how we protect the data of the company, of the projects. Maybe as a project manager, we'll be handling financial data, the data of the employees, of the customers, clients, strategy, IP. Are we sure that we are ensuring that the data is secure? Similarly, another obstacle we always face as project managers in the time and cost pressure. None of the plans, according to me, we do a very good chart from using a software, but in reality, it doesn't match. So under pressure, what we tend to do is try to short circuit and say that this is going on time, there is no cost pressure, and then we mislead the stakeholders. This shouldn't be the case, but it is a challenging aspect, and we need to be very sure that that we are transparent to the stakeholders and tell that, okay, this is not as per plan, we're going to revise that, and this is the backup approach. That way, it helps the customer or the client know that we are transparent and we are trying to help them do the work. Another thing which just looks very trivial is on the documentation part. Most of the project managers don't like to document, and I have been a technical writer for most of the time, and I know how important it is to record whatever is happening, because these are assets that will speak for or against us when there is an issue. And this also talks about in terms of process quality and in terms of audit, that we are clear about what we are doing, everything is in record, and we are transparent. So there is another thing which challenges most of the project managers. And power dynamics. I'm sure that most of you would agree that in a project management scenario, there are a lot of hidden and subtle power dynamics that come into play. So what happens is, So there will be one strong stakeholder who wants to do something in a wrong way, but sitting in the meeting, are you saying yes or no to that? It's a difficult proportion, correct? Or that could be a conflict of interest or a related party transaction. But then if you're silent, that means we are also party to that. But it is not easy to raise a dissent, because when I sit in board meetings, this is one thing which always challenges me. When in terms of project execution, something they want to do unethical, then my conscience tells this is not good. But do we have the guts and conviction to talk to the senior madam to say this is not the way to be done? This is something which really challenges everybody. So these are some of the aspects that really challenges not only me but most of the project management communities. How do we address this? So this is the illustration what I thought could help the project management community, or at least it has helped me as a project manager over the years. First, the aspect is it could be the digital dashboards for real-time governance. Gone are the days where you create Excel sheets, templates, and share it to the project managers or to the leadership team saying this is where we stand. Right now, we can go and move to a digital way of reporting in real time. It's what's happening in terms of the financial data, in terms of plan, in terms of process quality, so that the customer is well informed. This is one good way to keep the other side informed. The second thing is about promoting a global speak-up culture, which is very difficult because each country has its own culture, and it is not very easy to penetrate and say, okay, we need to change the culture of our organization. But what we can do is, as project managers, we need to practice what we preach. For example, let us say that we are going to conduct a meeting and I'm going to come late every day, then the team members are not going to respect me, correct? It's a culture. And the mission, vision, values are to be translated by project managers and whatever you're going to do. And that's the speak up culture. And you should provide the space for the team to share dissent, different ideas, suggestions, so that as a team, you're able to perform. If you're not giving the space, that means you're also avoiding dissent, which is not good. The third part, which I would like to focus, is on the ESG and CSR metrics. What is happening is ESG is getting a lot of prominence and importance in the current context, and customers and stakeholders want to know whether the company is ESG compliant, whether you're environmental friendly, whether you're conscious about the society, whether you're compliant with the governance rules. Is it being recorded? Are you transparent with your operations? For example, we are dealing with the Gen Z community, and they are keen about how companies do business. They are not worried about the cost anymore. They want to know whether you're eco-friendly, whether you are not damaging the environment, whether you're bothered about the society. So your projects also need to be ESG adhering in the future, as well as about the corporate social responsibility. So what has happened is the companies try to say that we're going to spend crores of money for the corporate social responsibility every year, but over a period of time, it has been unearthed that companies mishandle or misuse these funds, what has been allotted, and they divert it for something else. But the regulations are catching up. So the companies are even penalized that, okay, if you're going to spend this amount for within this period of time, then you're going to pay penalties. And not only that, CSR about is giving back to the society. So this is also an unethical way of doing things, right? So it damages the reputation of the company. So as a project managers, you should keep an eye on whether you are promoting an ESG culture and whether you are CSR focused as well. And then we talk about the independent project governance committees. For example, from a corporate governance perspective, there are a lot of committees that sit at the board level. For example, the stakeholder committee, the process and quality committee, the audit committee, etc. Similarly, what I would suggest or what we can do is about having an independent project governance committee, which comprises of people who are well versed in these areas and oversee projects, from different perspectives, and just help the managers to see, okay, these are the shortfalls, limitations, or mistakes they need to correct, and give them the guidance. That way, what happens is there is a lot of knowledge is being exchanged, lessons learned being shared, and then projects can come back on track. And then we always talk about the RASI chart, the responsibility, accountability, and consulting informed. Whether it is really practice in practice, it's my question, correct? So it always remains on paper, but during the implementation stage, most of us even forget this chart is really there. And do we have some sort of a stage which the gate reviews to understand where the project really stands? For example, I've been associated with a lot of projects, it goes for years, and absolutely we lose track of what was the exact scope and what is that we're going to deliver to the customer at the end of the day, unless we have some sort of a milestone and a work breakdown structure. This is not going to happen, correct? So based on my experience, we should have some sort of a way to monitor what's been done and take corrective action as we move forward. Then we should also think about the supply chain management. So it's not that we're going to work in isolation. We depend on vendors, consultants, subject matter experts, and legal people, and we need to depend on the government for getting the work done. So are they also compliant with the ethics? Are they also part of our vision mission strategy? Are they have the required credentials to be a part of a community? All these things need to be assessed, right? Only then we, as project managers, can ensure that we are reflecting ethics and governance at work. then it will be a bit more interesting for us to understand what is the return on investment. Do we need to take so much of efforts and care to ensure that ethics and governance are implemented in projects? Of course, yes. There are two possible dimensions to that. One is the tangible part, another one is the intangible part. Let's talk about the intangible part first. I've shown some couple of cases and the names in my previous slides. So your reputation is going to be damaged if you are going to compromise on ethics and governance. So it is very hard to reclaim or come back to your normal state. So we should never compromise on our ethics. So because the more hard you work towards improving ethics and transparency, that means your reputation is going to go up. Similarly, for better compliance, definitely all the companies have to report on whatever they're doing every year as a part of the annual general board meeting or the reports or the filings, etc. So unless you have a robust system within your company, how is that you're going to comply with these rules and regulations? Because we have seen multiple cases of financial mishandling, corruption, and bribery happening across different sectors and across the globe. So if you have the ethics and governance place, I'm sure that you're going to be better compliant with your project management. And also faster approvals. Gone are the days where it's hierarchical, it takes months and years to get approvals. But if you're going to have a framework in place in terms of governance, I'm sure that your approvals for anything, for that matter, for resource, for financial approvals, or for vendor approvals, it's going to happen very quickly because it's a very transparent and a digital system, so that you can always avoid the possible project delays, right? And then what about your strong vendor network? Because I have seen that maybe as a company you have a very grand vision, mission values, but are your vendors going to support also fall in line with it? Are they also very ethical in their business operations? Are they have a track record to say that yes, they have not been into any issues, then they become a part of the community? Yes, once you are ethical company, then the vendors will also fall in place. They'll think that okay, we're going to work with a company who are really truthful in their work, in the projects, and we are also going to get a good name. That way, what happens is the return on investment multifold. It includes both the tangibles and intangibles. So how do we make this happen in real time? This is a synergy of ethics and trust. Both are looking, it's something in our heart, right? It can't be written on paper. So for example, there are three blocks to that. So once you talk about ethical governance and the trust, and trust has to evolve over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. So when you combine both together as a part of a DNA in your organization, then you have a sustainable competitive advantage in the market. So it takes time. And the simple message is like you need to practice what you preach, and then things start to happen. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here I would solicit your support and a pledge to manifest these three blocks as a project manager or as a community. One is to lead with integrity. Is definitely not easy. It always tests me every day. Am I integral in my action? Am I transparent? Am I truthful? That is how we need to question every day in your operation. Then you will know how much difficult it is to deal with conflict of interest or related party transaction or being transparent in your operation. All these things will challenges. So leading with integrity is the first step. Then the second is the transparency. Now, how open is your communication? Are you telling the risk upfront? Are you hiding something behind the carpet? No, you need to be transparent, and that requires a lot of courage and conviction. And then you will be respected and trusted. The third block is define purpose. Are you aligning with the mission values? Are you reflecting? Are you manifesting that? Then people will start to believe you. And that way, what happens is from a chaotic, unethical governance, you're going to a more ethical governance, and that means you need to strive and become a brand ambassador over a period of time. With that, I'd like to close my keynote session, and thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for listening as well.
Okay, thanks so much. And so now we are going to introduce our spotlight chapter right now. So, right, Amen?
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay, so today,
Samuel, you want to share your? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I
Okay, today
will
we're going to
just share.
introduce Samuel. He's a seasoned professional with 12 years experience in both project and financial management, and a trainer. He strongly believes in intriguing these skills of stability, these developments in difficult setting like Cameroon. And he managed a US $37 million USAID program, overseeing operation and strengths of governance in 25 plus local organizations to support vital services of over 35,000 orphans and vulnerable children. Wow, we should exchange some cards here. So he has trained and mentioned 3,000 young professionals in project management, auditing, and finance. As the president of PMI Cameroon chapters, PMI University Outreach Ambassador. He lead the key national initiative, advance SDGs in gender equality, quality education, and sustainable partnership. So let's welcome Samuel.
Samuel, we can't hear you.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, morning, everyone. Dear fellow leaders of the PMI family. So as was just said, my name is Samuel Salah, president of PMI Cameroon chapter, and it's a profound honor for me to share the story of PMI Cameroon and the impact and the commitment we have in our country. So Cameroon, often dubbed as Africa in miniature, holds a crucial geographical position because serving as the economic hub and vital transit link between the west and the central zone of the continent in Africa. So the country is highly bilingual. We are speaking French and English, and the economy is diverse, leveraging extensive natural resources, including oil, natural gas, timber, and significant mineral resources. So, despite this immense potential, we are facing issues with our development, specifically on project management. These obstacles are noted in governance structures, but also in persistent infrastructure deficit. We have issues in how set up internal controls, as the first speaker just said, but also how to make sure that we have strong monitoring systems, make sure that you have all those things through project management related. So this is where we try at the PMI Cameroon level to fill the gap, because with our 10 years, we have a bit more than 10 years now, and we are presented here as a leading voice for project management excellence in the country. So we have like 400 members, including 20 students that are all actively engaged in serving the project management function. So this 10-year milestone is combined with an extensive role of the volunteers behind the scenes. So we try as much as possible to make sure that they receive proper recognition for that at the national level, but also the recognition at the international level from specific bodies, PMI, the president of the PMI, etc. So we try to make sure that each step we put on the ground is a step that help the profession to grow as we want. So this said, our chapter mission extend far beyond simple membership management, as many chapters do, and it is rooted in fundamental transformation of the national project landscape in Cameroon. So we are dedicated into to cover three sectors, like government, private sector, and the youth. For the government side, we are really engaged with some ministries on creating and developing what we call the National Order of Project Management Experts. It's a quite of very nice initiative that intend to group all the project managers in a central way to discuss their topics, to deploy them on various projects for the government, and we intend to pass it through a law if possible, but it's still at the level of the ministry of the ministry in charge. We also work on the private sector, but we ensure that all our actions are dedicated to SDGs and national strategies. So far in Cameroon, we are covering like 5 SDGs, one being the education, quality education, that probably all the chapters are working on, specifically behind. We have the CAPM, the training, all those PMI things we do, gender equality, work, decent work, building strong systems, and initiative like this one, the Chapter XChange, we try to make sure that we build strong partnership to elevate our world. And the last but not least is the academia piece of it. So in the with the academia, we make sure that we build the next generation of leaders, and in it, we are not limited in the kind of leaders. We make sure that the students receive the proper education in project management for a country that spend a lot of money on projects and is not really training the students in project management. We really try to fill that gap. So in general, I think this year we covered like 20 or 30 university outreach initiatives and various things like training, capacity building, mentoring, coaching, building, producing the project management manuals for beginners and stuff around it. So this is how we try to keep the wheel running, and we hope that by the 2030 we will help the government to achieve the goal. So to our global PMI network and project management advocates, let's continue to lead, and don't hesitate if you want to join our initiative. We'll be more than happy to accept you in our team. So thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you so much. Now you want to go ahead with the...
Okay, so let me introduce the British to the moderator today. And am I going to share the screen, or I just go? Okay.
Yes.
So Patricia is a result-driven technical program manager with 9 years of experience leading complex cross-function software programs that drive digital transformation and measurable business impact. Or he has successfully delivered over 3 million in enterprise-scale initiative. He's known for combining deep technical knowledge with strong agile leadership, stakeholder management, and execution clarity. He excels at aligning business goals with technical delivery, manage dependency, and ensure visible across global terms. So let's welcome British.
Thanks, Tao. That was a great introduction. Thanks for that. I would like to... Is anyone sharing the screen? Great. Okay, can we go on next slide? I would like to start introducing our panel. Basically, welcome, Horio. Thanks for your time. Horio is a project manager at Vistoni and a professor at the University Technology del Peru. Would you like to take time to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about yourself to our audience.
Yes, of course. Thanks for the invitation also to be here. And as you mentioned, well, I'm also project manager at Vistoni, and also in PMI, I have a role as a volunteer social impact lead in PMI Latam, because I like to support many activities in social impact in the different countries that we have in the region. Also, in the last Global Summit, I was a speaker. It was wonderful to share with many of you. I really know that you participate in the Global Summit, but it was wonderful and it was great to be here and also to participate in this incredible topic about ethics and project governance, because when we talk about ethics, it's important to take in consideration the core values that mention the PMI: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. That's so important to take in consideration. And when we talk about governance, it's important to take in consideration that different roles that we have, the responsibility, also the structure that we have in the organization to make decisions, and also the oversight to have in consideration the different risks, the scope, that the schedule, but also the budget that we have in the project. And for that reason, I'm so glad to be here, and thanks for this invitation.
but thanks for your time. We'd like to introduce our next panelist, Laura. Just to give a brief introduction, Laura is the IT PMO Director at Voila Water Technology and the VP for the PMI Netherlands chapter. She brings an extensive experience in finance, project management, and PMO leadership. Laura, would you like to introduce this role?
Yes. Hi, everyone. As Pritesh has mentioned, I work currently in Veolia Water Technologies. I'm a PMO. I'm also Vice President of the Dutch chapter. My background is financial. So I worked many years in finance, especially for General Electric company. And this explains also my passion and interest for ethics and compliance, because I've been also a controller, a financial controller during my career. I have 7 years of, I've had 7 years of project management experience as project manager, and afterwards I moved to the PMO role. I'm PMP certified in 2017, and this year I also obtained my PMO certified professional certification.
Thanks for that, Laura. Welcome to the session. The next panelist would like to welcome Annie. Going to give a brief introduction. She has about 18 plus years of experience in NGO and public sector with respect to project management. She specializes in public financial management reforms and governance initiatives. Annie, would you like to say hi to our audience?
Thank you. Good evening, good morning, everyone, and greetings to my brothers and sisters from Kenya. I can see some have joined. Very delighted to see you. Thank you, Pritesh. So I have largely had a passion in creating order in delivering projects, especially within the government sector. After working in NGO sector for a while, that gave a very good foundation for project management. But in the government sector is looking at the complexities in delivering projects in government, which brings in ethical dilemmas, a lot of ethical dilemmas, and perhaps loopholes in governance structures. And so that's a very interesting area that I work in. And I look forward to this exchange. Thank you very much, Pritesh.
Thanks, Annie, and thanks for joining the session. Next panelist is Hakeem. Hakeem worked very closely as a consultant with Dubai government and works as a finance director for the PMI UAE chapter. He has about 18 years of experience with respect to project management and strong expertise in finance, governance, and business consulting. Hakeem, would you like to introduce in more detail to our audience?
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Thank you to PMIcXchange team for the kind invitation. I'm truly honored and humbled to represent the PMI UAE chapter today and to participate to the session. And I hope that the audience will benefit greatly from the insights that will be shared during this session. As you mentioned, I'm currently holding a position as a consultant in the Dubai government entity. I'm also serving the PMI chapter as a finance director. I have played several roles in finance, governance, and business consulting in different companies in the public and private sector and other organizations. I also have more than 18 years experience in project management. I hold a master's degree from the High Business School in Algeria, and I hold also several certifications in project management, change management, Lean Six Sigma, etc. And I'm really pleased to be here today and be with the team.
Thanks, Hakeem. Come to the session. So we can get started with the questions, basically. The first question is to Laura. So the question is, how can a project manager balance competing interest with respect to cost, quality, and time while maintaining the ethical integrity?
So the project manager has to be, I think, transparent, first of all, in the communication. So we all know that projects have constraints. There is a scope, there is budget, there is a timeline to respect. But we all know also that projects face risks, face changes. So it's important at all times for the project manager to be transparent, to keep an open communication, communicate the risks, make people aware of them. Don't hide anything, don't try to hide anything negative that is happening on the project. And also focus, of course, of setting up the right governance for the project. When you are a project manager, you need to make sure that, for example, the change management is done in a certain way, that you have the right path to bring it to discussion, to bring it to approval, to document what is happening, what changes are taking place, what risks are we facing and mitigating. So for me, the first thing is paramount is keeping in transparent communication and keeping a good change management governance and focusing on risk management in that space as well.
Thanks for that, Laura. Most certainly, I guess transparency helps building that trust with your stakeholders as well, build that relationship. Thanks for that. I think the next question is for Hakeem. Question is, how can the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct guide ethical decision-making in difficult project situations?
So, the PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct provides a foundational framework built on 4 main values. The values are, first of all, the responsibility, where we emphasize on the fact that it's important to have proper definition of responsibilities and ownership of the actions, where each person or group of people that are taking a decision are accountable for the choices they are making. The second one would be the respect, where we need to engage with the stakeholders with courtesy, considering all the cultural differences and fostering a proper and inclusive environment. Then you have a fairness, which requires impartiality, making sure that we are treating all the stakeholders and all the team members in an equal way, especially when we are managing the conflicts or we are managing our resources. And lastly, there is honesty, where we need to make sure that we are providing a clear and truthful communication through our reports and updates that we are providing to the different stakeholders, without trying, to provide only the good news and hiding the bad ones. So by applying these standards, the code transforms ambiguous ethical issues into a structured decision-making process, ensuring choices constantly aligns with the professional integrity. And I invite our audience to visit the PMI website, where we'll find good resources on that. There is the code itself, but there are also other resources that, like the tools and the framework.
Thanks, Hakeem, for that. Very interesting. The 4 points that makes up the project manager as such as well. Thanks. Okay, the next question is for Annie. I think the question is, what are the consequences of weak governance on a project outcome and stakeholder trust?
Okay, thank you very much. From what Laura mentioned about importance of governance structures, it is very important to work through some sort of a guardrails that guide how your vehicle is moving, how you're managing the project. And these structures help. If they're not there, then a project manager should at least try and create them. And so when they are very weak, and in different complex projects, we find such situations, that compromises the value delivery of the project. It slows down the project, basically. And creates a lot of bottlenecks in the project. It affects the team members, because some are not sure whether, who is responsible, how do we mitigate risks, are we moving in the right direction and all. So it affects the team morale, and ultimately affects the trust that the stakeholders have in you and the project. Again, another main governance consequence, lack of governance, especially weak governance consequence, is projects, changing midstream, having scope creep. Because we didn't have any boundaries, there are no guardrails, then, anything comes in and priorities keep shifting. And that basically slows down and delays the project outcomes. And at the end, the team doesn't even know what exactly they are delivering because of the shifting priorities. Then that leads to, budget overruns, which is a very critical thing, especially for public sector projects. It also leads to rework of, product delivery, because if processes have not been followed, if they are weak or they were non-existent, then at the end, the stakeholder will not accept the product. So there is no value created. And so there is rework, and then there's budget overrun, and there's delay, and the project keeps on being a protracted process. And so there's a lot of, there are many consequences. There's, the tendering process, the procurement process is also manipulated, and, it is flawed. And so that makes it really difficult to get the right vendor and to do the evaluation process, correctly. And that risks, if it's an organization, it puts a reputational risk on the organization, and it's also puts a very big risk on the government, for instance, where, the citizens are, keep on crying about corruption, and anything that is said is never taken positively. So there's a very big reputational risk also as a cause of weak governance structures.
Thanks for that. Yep. So it's not part of the 5 key project control, but it definitely is the center of controlling all the 5 key project controls that you usually have around, with budget, scope, timeline, quality, and risk, basically. That's a very good point made. Thanks for that. I think the next question is for Horo. I think the question is, how might the cultural difference influence ethical perception and governance expectations in the international projects?
Hello to everyone. Yes, the cultural difference have a significant impact in how ethics and also the governance is perceived in each culture that we have. But I can mention that because I work in a job that works with people from many countries. Here in Peru, also in Europe, in India, in Asia, and we have many expectations about what is the hierarchy, what is the way that the decision making, also the communication, because all society has its own norms, and also how they feel these ways to work together, and it's so different. And the project managers have to have these capabilities to understand the different contexts and how they can work with different cultures, how they can send a message and be understood by all of them. I can mention that in some societies, they prefer the direct communication, but in some other societies, they prefer the indirect communication to preserve the harmony in the team. For example, the Latinos, we like to prefer this indirect communication, this informal communication, to preserve this harmony in the team. But in other societies, they prefer that the direct way is to have to mention what is happening in that moment, and that's important for the project managers and understand that. Also, how they feel the hierarchy in the team, because in some societies they prefer the people with most expertise can be lead the team, but in others we are more democratic in the way that in which who can lead all the team in some societies. And for that reason, the project managers have to consider have this cultural intelligence to adapt the leadership style to these different societies and cultures, and understand this can be the work for the different societies that they are working. And that's all that I can share about my experience.
Thanks for that. Definitely, I think that's the key for also building a high performance team, understanding the culture norms and having that emotional empathy in place as well. Thanks for that. I think the next question is for Laura. Imagine a situation where a client asks you to conceal project delays. How will the ethical response be?
Yeah. So the ethical response would be, and I think this is really a good time that you have chosen to have this event, because the PMI has just issued, as Hakim already mentioned, the Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, which is effective from November 17, so just 4 days in effect. And I think, what I would respond is on the line of what this code is saying, which is we apply, when I run a project, I apply this ethics code. So I work in a way that I'm truthful in my communication, I'm open in my communication, and I do not conceal bad aspects of my project. I'm making a clear picture of how my project is going. That said, as a project manager, I would try to help the situation and say, we have to report what is happening. There is something negative, maybe, that we had to take into account. But we also have to go and highlight what are we doing to mitigate this situation? What are we doing to take corrective actions? So I think that would be the right communication to bring, especially when you have, some negative impact on your project, is to be open and honest about it, but also be prepared always to bring a mitigation plan, a corrective action plan together with the news. Okay.
Definitely. That just makes sense, basically. Thanks for that, Laura. I think the next question is to Gladstone Samuel. I think the question is on the line: how should project manager systematically assess and report on the environmental, social, and governance impact of their projects?
Okay. That's a good question, Pritesh. That is something which is upcoming in the current context, because if you take India as such, the paradigm shift is towards understanding ESG as such. All along, it has been corporate social responsibility. Now, environmental social governance is coming into play. So, as a project manager, for example, if you're going to be a project manager for building a dam, hypothetically, definitely there's a lot of going to be impact on the communities there, the forests there, right? So are you going to do the project in an ethical way? Are you going to do an environmental impact assessment report? Are you taking it seriously? Or are you bringing to the leadership team to assess what are the pros and cons? And if it's going to have a damage on the ecosystem, what are the backup plans you're going to have? then are you going to talk to the communities to convince them, yes, this is the steps we are going to take to help the communities to get to relocate to another area, or we're not going to damage the forest as such. These things to happen, right? So what happens is the project manager may not be qualified to understand the implications of ESG, but definitely they can talk to an ESG consultant and bring in somebody on board who can advise on this matter. Because right now, what I feel is it is a bit at a nascent stage to understand the implications of what the ESG component of project management is all about. Even they're talking about green project management, they're talking about green hiring. So the project manager has to keep the eyes and ears open as to what the scope of the project is and where it is going to be implemented, whether it's going to have an impact on the environment, on the society, on the governance part, and then have these data in place and then bring it to the leadership team to take an informed decision. And if there is going to be some sort of an impact, they have also to go back to the agencies, to the affected communities, and tell them, convince them this is what we're going to do. That way, what happens is you're building a reputation that this organization is really serious about the society, about the community, about the environment, and they can also collaborate with you. And on the contrary, we have seen a lot of projects being turmoiled in controversies because they're not taking into consideration the ESG aspect. And that's why this government is making it as a part of the regulation henceforth, that they also need to report on a yearly basis on what they're going to do on the ESG part. If they're claiming to do something and doing something else, then you're greenwashing, and that's not a good sign. So the project managers have to get trained, have to get an awareness about what ESG is all about, and also see that it is a part of the checklist or a part of the project scope, that they're not going to deviate anything and create havoc on the ESG part. That's my thought in terms of how project managers can take ESG into the perspective.
Definitely, thanks for that. I think a lot of environmental laws are becoming compliance every day, in and out now, and being aware, having that knowledge, that's like a must in project rather than an extra or like an add-on thing, but it has become more like an absolute thing that you need to know. Thanks for that. I think the next question is for Hakeem. The question is, how can organization design governance structure that promote transparency and accountability in projects?
So I believe that Samuel before mentioned multiple elements, but I will highlight a few of them again now. First of all, I believe that the organization must embed design elements into the project lifecycle. So first of all, it should be the clarity of the ownership, as I was mentioning before also, where accountability through formally defined roles and responsibilities for all the stakeholders, the consent stakeholders, where you have, for example, the sponsor, the steering committee, the project manager, and the project team. This is very important. So if ownership is not is ambiguous, accountability immediately breaks down. The second thing would be the control gates, and as you know, in the project we usually define stage gates where at the end of each and every major phase, and we ensure that the governance body formally signs off on the performance and project progress and budget adherence, successful delivery of the expected deliverables and outcomes with the quality that is expected. This, creates a non-negotiable audit trail for every major decision. The third one that I would mention is making sure that we have a standardized reporting, and that's usually ensured by the organization through a PMO, if you have a PMO. So you make sure that you have a very transparent reporting with defined or predefined frequency, depending on the project nature, the project size, etc. We tend to try to have proper tools and dashboards that support that. So the management, either the direct management of the project, we're talking about the sponsor and the steering committee, or the top management in the organization, including the strategy department or the PMO department, could take the the right decision and intervene whenever it's required.
Thanks for that, Hakeem. I think it very well ties up with the honesty, treatment, fairness, respect, openness, the points that you mentioned here as well. Thanks for that. The next question is to Anne. Basically, the question is, can you identify a recent real-world project failure linked to poor ethics or governance? What lesson were learned?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Pritesh. I think without maybe perhaps necessarily naming the project, it's a very highly political project, but I can just give the example of it's an energy project started in, I think, way back in 2018. And some of the intricacies within this project border from the planning phase of the project. It's a major project, a multi-billion project with different stakeholders, and the issues start from planning, without clear conceptualization and feasibility studies that took ESG concerns into perspective. That was not done, and the contracting process was flawed, and there was a lot of back and forth politically with our project. And so the project contract was signed amidst a lot of public noise, and audit issues started even before the project really started, and even before the contract moved on, there were priorities started changing. That meant feasibility studies were not really done, were not completed, were not done correctly, and there was a lot of payments done before the project, started achieving the milestones, etc. And so what we learned from some of these projects, a project like this, and there are numerous projects, and I know we all have examples of some of these projects, is number one, the importance of having clear governance structures, very clear governance structures. And for project managers in such a case, and in highly politicized environment, is to, even if there are there are governance structures in theory, you basically force it in practice, and you force accountability structures, reporting structures, documentation processes, so that you keep the stakeholders informed, at each stage gate, that this is where we are, without being putting a lot of details. This is where we are. The contract has been given out. We are now compensating, landowners from, this area to this area, so that the stakeholders are the ones that push. And so the project manager then is not, seen as, because some of these highly politicized projects are, for lack of another word, can become quite scary, especially, for project managers. And because they, as a project manager, you want to do it right, but as a political powers that push you in different directions. But generally, the project is now on course, and it is ongoing, despite the numerous delays. And we are hoping that the initial phase that I think closed last year in 2024 had met all the project objectives. There are a few audit issues that have been raised, but the importance of governance, however, interim, is very, very important and key to protect the project manager, and to ensure that the project manager brings it out to stakeholders so that they can push the sustainability of such a project. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. The whole environmental organization factor in terms of project management is a bit scary already. And then especially if it's a very politically influenced project, it can get very messy. Yeah, thanks for that, Anne. I think we do have one last question, then we'll take questions from our audience. There's one last question for Oreo. The question is, what role does corporate responsibility, CSR, play in project governance?
Thanks for the question. Yes, it's so important because now the corporate social responsibility has to be considered in the growth of the critical role of the project governance, because we are talking about ethical behavior that we have to consider in the organization. And if we don't consider the CSR, we are not considering all the stakeholders, because we have to take in consideration that all the organizations are are part of a society, and we have to consider all the stakeholders that we have. Consider the people, consider the planet, and also the other organizations that we have in the region that we are working. And for that reason, consider these CSRs provide the ethical lens from which relationships can be growth, and also the organization can be considered part of the society. In the recently studies of the PMI, especially with the PMI Next and also the PMI More strategy that we are developing, we consider that the best projects, the projects that have more success, are which one has in consideration the social responsibility, because all that when we have the also the lens of the inter people that we have in the organization, we have also the lens of the difference of the society that we are involved. They can consider our project more successful, and that is so important. In summary, the CSR is not an external add-on. It's integrated into a modern project governance now. And for that reason, if we make some decisions in the organization, we have to consider all the social responsibility that we have to work with the society that we are involved. And that's all that I can share about that. Thank you.
Definitely. Thanks for that. I think we will take the question from audience. There is a question from Arshia. I think this is for Hakeem. The question is, given the scale and the speed of government-led initiatives in Dubai, what governance structure or framework do you find the most effective for ensuring alignment, transparency, and timely decision-making across multiple stakeholders?
Okay, interesting question, and I see where this is coming from. Actually, in fact, UAE and Dubai specifically are well known for the innovative and futuristic projects they are having, very large and interesting ones indeed. So the first one that I would mention is the top-down strategic alignment framework that they are putting in place. As you know, in Dubai, there is a clear vision, and that vision is shared with all the government entities, and all the government entities aligned with that vision and make sure that their projects are also aligned with that. In that vision are what the in Dubai, for specifically, we have, for example, Dubai Plan, where specific KPIs are shared with all the entities, and where we have some projects that might be served or fulfilled by some entities, while some others will be, shared between multiple entities. And the good part is that in that process, the projects are defined probably at the level of the entity itself, and sometimes by the higher authority. But there is a consolidation at the high level anyway, and we make sure that there are no repetition, that we are using our resources in the best way possible. The second one would be making sure that the decisions that are being made, the initiatives that we are going with, or the decisions that are being made while we are working on an initiative is to have available data decision made on transparency, making sure that we have tools and dashboards in place that are accessible to the project team, to the governance body, as well as to the higher authority, so they can make their decisions based on that. In addition to this, there are actually interesting tools. For example, there is a tool that is being used and can be used by all the employees in the government entity, where they can voice their concerns in a very confidential way and very transparent way as well. So that ensures that, in case of any issues that's being reported at a very high level. So I believe, in addition to that, there are multiple tools that are being put in place, and it will take time to discuss them all. But I believe again that UAE is quite advanced on that. They have very interesting practices at the government level.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hakeem. It's very interesting how things changes from region to country to continent, and how the whole governance structure changes as well. Very insightful. Thank you. In the essence of time, I think we'll love to chat about this topic if we could whole night, but yeah, we will have to wrap up. So we'll just ask all of our panelists to share their final thoughts on the topic. To start with, Oreo, if you would like to go first.
Yes, of course. The question is how do you evaluate whether the governance control, right?
No, I think we are about reaching the time limit for this session. So we'll just like to share your final thoughts on the whole topic as such.
Oh, okay. Well, in this case, I talk about this ethic and also and governance that we have to consider in the project management. It's so important how we take in consideration these ethics, because all the organization and also all the society have to consider that they are part of society, and we have to take we have to work with ethics not only for our team. We have to work with ethics for all the society. And as I mentioned before, the project success mentioned that when we consider all the society in our projects, the projects are more successful, and the project governance have to ensure that this could happen with considering all the decision making, all the roles that we have in the team, and finally all the oversight that we can have around the projects that we're managing. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Laura.
Yes. So the first thing I wanted to highlight is, of course, in the ethics space, how important it is to focus on respecting laws, regulations, policies. If you go back to the keynote from Gladstone, he showed a lot of issues that happened because of fraud, because of bribes, etc. These are the first things that should be avoided at all times. These are, criminal activities. They are against the law. So no one in project management should engage in these practices. Why do I bring that up also? Because I think it's important to make a statement that the project manager has a responsibility not only to his stakeholders, his clients, his teams, but also to the project management community. One project manager doing the wrong things impacts the reputation of the whole community, of the whole project management profession. So we have to keep that in mind when we work in this area.
Thanks for that, Laura. Next will be Annie. Would you like to give us your final thoughts on the topic, please?
Thank you. I think I would basically want to just say that when you navigate as a project manager, navigating political projects with their complexities, it's an opportunity to push through. But firstly, a project manager should identify their own guiding principles, their own more or less like internal governance structures, their own values. What matters to me, what matters to you as a project manager, what really, really matters. We've been given, the PMI Code of Ethics gives us very clear ethical principles. But what about you as a human being, as a human being first before even being called a project manager? What guides me? And that should be seen to play in any project that you lead, any project that I lead. And so navigating politics requires staying anchored in these values first, before you are anchored in the governance structures within which the project is operating. And so I would encourage project managers everywhere to take a self-assessment to see what matters to you as a project manager and make a resolve that these values, however, 2 values or 3 values, are non-negotiable, and you will do anything to protect them. Just like I have an example that always guides me. There's a story I'll quote, a story, in the Bible of Daniel. There's a guy called Daniel who resolved not to defile himself in eating whatever the goodies at the king's table. And that was a big risk, and he did it. And, and eventually, God that he serves protected him. And so a project manager must first make a resolve that these values are non-negotiable. And if we all do that collectively, then we start changing the landscape of whatever complexities and interference that the political landscape, bring around in our projects. And so we deliver value to the citizens if we really care about the code of ethics of responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. Thank you very much. So let us introspect.
Thanks for that. That's a great, wonderful thought. Team.
Yeah, so I believe that the commitment to the project integrity is non-negotiable, as she was mentioning. It's only this approach that could ensure proper and objective decision making. This will drive transparent communication to the different stakeholders and management. And we need to be very careful while managing our resources in a very fair way, to make sure that they are still engaged and that they will deliver the best they can. The ethical approach means taking full responsibility, delivering sustainable results, and ensuring deep stakeholders' trust. And if we think about the organization, we should not think about the short-term benefit, but we should think about the long-term benefit. So while some people might be thinking that while they are having some unethical behaviors or actions, this will serve their organization, that might look like that in the short run, but in long term, you will start losing the trust of your different stakeholders and partners.
Thanks for that, Kim and Gladstone. Samuel, if you want to put in your final thoughts as well, please.
Yes, thanks, Pratish. There are 3 important factors that I would like to reflect and also encourage and motivate the project management community to think when they go back to work. Number 1 is the ethics part. What I personally feel is a perpetual challenge every day for all project managers. It's not about writing something on the wall. So whenever we sit in meetings, we need to be sure that whether we are doing the ethical thing. Are we courageous enough to raise the dissent in the meeting so that we take a well-informed decision before moving forward? It takes a lot of patience, perseverance, and then to do your homework to raise valid questions in this meeting. So Ethics is a perpetual challenge, and we need to practice what we preach. Number two is about governance. Most of the communities across different areas think it's a checklist. No, it is not a checklist. Governance is about doing jobs or projects based on ethics. Both are highly interrelated. Only then you can create sustainable projects. You can't take at different pieces. Ethics and governance goes together. So it's important that no, you take governance in the right spirit, you comply with the local laws and legislations, you are sure about what you're doing, and no, take it forward. The number three is about raising red flags at the right time. So it's very important as project managers to catch these issues very early, and then go back to your stakeholders and say, this is something not going good. But it's also your responsibility to have a backup plan and tell them this way you want to take it forward. That means what is going to happen is the stakeholders are going to believe you, trust you, and also work alongside with you. These are my lessons learned the hard way over a period of time, and it has really given me a lot of benefits. And when I sit in board meetings, it is a big challenge because most of the promoters and stakeholders are worried about the financial flow, making profits, etc., etc. And during the course of the discussion, ethics and governance takes a backseat. And if you're going to be a party of that, then when you come out of the meetings, you get a very guilty feeling, and I don't want to be part of it. I raise the dissent, record that, and say, okay, this is my view, and you take a decision. And that's how I feel very comfortable and say that this is the way it should be done, but I leave it to the wisdom of the board. And that keeps me happy, and that keeps me motivated also. And that's my sum and substance of this topic. Thank you, British.
Thanks a lot for that. I think very insightful from very rich experience. Thanks a lot. I think that's about it. Just to add last line, on behalf of Mumbai chapter, I'd like to thanks for all the panelists for their valuable time and such an insightful session. And I'll hand it over to Ashfaq.
Thank you. Thank you, Pratish. Thank you so much for the moderating. And thank you, panel. It was really a very good discussion. While these topics can be discussed at length, we got everything together. Thank you, Gladson, for bringing or setting up the context in the very beginning itself, and all the panelists in doing a fair or doing justice to this. I will just quickly, since we don't have a lot of time, I am showing the next screen, that is the focus on you. And as Gladson mentioned, governance without our quote also says by Devendra Rachelkar, governance without ethics is control, and ethics without governance is chaos. I repeat, governance without ethics is control, but ethics without governance is chaos. The magic happens when the two learn to dance. So very well put by Devendra. Thank you, Devendra, for sharing your quote with us. And the next slide I have is on the exchange effect. We had more than 580 registration for the event today, and close to 240 people attended the session today. And we had people from 10 different countries, 53% from India, Greece, Malaysia, Brazil, Kenya, Bangladesh, Belgium, UAE, Indonesia, and Philippines. So we will get to see more such events happening going forward. On my next screen, I'll just hold on the screen for a few seconds for people to take capture the QR code and register for the next event, which is happening on 19th of December. This is going to be our last event. And in this event, we are also going to share the list of sessions, the topics that we are going to plan for 2026. So all those who are attending today, I request you to attend the next event also and plan your 2026 with more such sessions. And the coming month, we have panelists from Indonesia, Malaysia, Luxembourg, Jalisco, Ghana, and Alaska. So that's again going to be a variety of speakers talking about the same topic. But yes, more interesting is the topic. Is it slowly phasing out of the PM role? Is that an exclamation or is that a question? I will leave you guys to think about it. Come prepared with your questions and answers, and we will discuss more on 19th December. Same time, same place. Till then, it's time to say good evening to all. And my sincere apologies for starting late. Unfortunately, we could not do much. And I think I will leave you guys now. And thank you for your participation. And thank you for attending. We had more than 230 people attending this session today, even though we started late. Thank you for all your support. And we request you to share the next event within your group so that more people make it possible. And if you have any in the next PDU email, we'll also be sharing the feedback form. So request you to spend a few more minutes and share your feedback for the event. We would like to make this the best event that you would not want to miss. Okay, thank you so much and have a good evening. Thanks everyone. Laura, some more snow for you. And
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And,
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
and enjoy your sunshine. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.